Hello everyone, Lytro Storm here, and today we're back with What If Dale Survived. This is part 3 to this Walking Dead series, so be sure to check out the description and comment section to catch up. In the last part, the governor attacked the prison, and Dale was forced to shoot him in the side, which was the first time he had actually shot a person. The prison unfortunately met its demise, and I left it up to you guys who Dale went with. The votes were inarguably in favor of him staying behind to find Glenn and Tara, so that's what I'm going to cover in this video. So before we start, if you end up enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, be sure to join my Discord and follow me on Twitter. Links in the description. Alright, so after the attack from the governor, the survivors would be split apart. Dale climbed down from his watchtower and began running around. He searched for anyone he could find, but didn't manage to have any luck until he saw Glenn. He told him to run inside, and the two got into the prison. There, Dale would tell Glenn what happened, and that the governor killed Herschel. Glenn was upset by this, but he said that they had to go find the bus as it had Maggie and the Woodbury survivors in it. And so now the two would gear up, getting guns and the riot armor. In the original, we don't see Glenn actually grabbing the armor, so we don't know if there were two. However, there were two walkers who had the riot armor, so it is possible that there would still be another there. And if there wasn't, then I'd just say that in his free time, Dale would clean the other one up. That way, there would be an extra even if there wasn't in the original version. So the two would put the riot armor on and would run through the walkers, which is when Dale would see Tara sitting. He would take her gun, seeing that she hasn't fired a single shot, and would tell her to come with them. Tara was confused as to why he would want to do that, as she came here to try and take their home. However, Dale would say that she obviously didn't go through it, so she must be a good person, even if she doesn't believe it now. Glenn would say that they have to make it out alive so that way they can find their people, and she's gonna help. She would reluctantly agree, and they would do the whole Molotov plan. That would be enough to distract the walkers, allowing for Dale and Tara to cover Glenn as they escape. Once outside of the prison, they would talk about how Glenn was trying to find his wife, and Tara would go over how awful she feels. Dale would remind her that to him, she's already made up for it by helping them, and she has to stop guilting herself. A couple walkers would pull up, which they would deal with, before Glenn begins to pass out, just as Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene show up. They would pick them up like they did originally, and during the drive, Dale would see the bus with everyone dead around it. He would ask them to pull over, but they wouldn't listen, and so he would just continue on, now knowing that almost everyone from Woodbury was dead. Tara then asked him if he had the same duty to those people as she feels she has to them, and he would say yes. He would then ask himself how he's going to tell Glenn, and we'd transition out of the scene. Eventually, Glenn would wake up once more and would hear from Dale that they passed the bus, but he didn't see Maggie. Glenn would begin freaking out, yelling and beating on the window, causing Abraham to stop the truck. They'd step out, where the same discourse would happen, although Dale would tell Glenn that they were going to make a cure. He would say that that was great and all, but he needed to go find his wife. However, Dale wouldn't just let him split off from them. He would prevent Glenn from attacking Abraham, and Eugene would then botch their ride, so they'd have to go on foot, following Glenn for a while. One small change is that instead of Glenn, Dale would offer his armor to Eugene in exchange for them to keep walking, and so they would continue. Once they make it to the tunnel, is where things would start to change. You see, Dale knows that it's not the smart thing to do, and Tara has more respect for Dale than Glenn, although she does respect both of them. Together, they would be able to convince Glenn to go around, and so they would do so until they eventually catch up with Maggie, Sasha, and Bob, which would go about the same. During the reunion, Dale would be sitting on his own, and Tara would sit beside him. She'd tell him that it was okay, and that he didn't have to feel responsible. It wasn't his fault, and he tried his best to find them. Plus, if all the other people from the prison survived, who knows how many others did. Dale would smile at her, and would say that maybe she's right. The old man thanks Tara, and they would then join the rest of the group in celebration. Glenn would also apologize to Dale for acting irrationally during all the arguments, and would thank him for being there for him. This then completes Dale's small responsibility arc for the people of Woodbury, as now Dale has accepted that he did all he could, and he must keep living on and be happy for Glenn right now. After this, the group would roll up to Terminus, and the others would arrive shortly. They'd all get locked up until Carol saves them like originally, and then they'd get up out of there. Dale would try to free some other people, who just end up getting eaten by walkers anyway. Now this would make him sad, but they'd have to move on. The group would now reunite with Carol, Tyrese, and Judith, which would make them all very happy. They all continue to walk, and when they stop, I think Tyrese would tell Dale about what happened with Lizzie and Mika. This is because he knows that Dale is someone he can confide in and someone who knows his morals, so he could tell them if they made the right call. However, upon hearing that Lizzie killed her own little sister just to prove that the walkers were alive, Dale is honestly horrified. This would be the first time ever where he has no idea what he would have done in that scenario. The idea that a little girl had taken her own sister's life was just gut-wrenching to him, and then that girl being shot? Maybe they could have kept her. No, she was gonna go for Judith next. What about leaving her? She was playing with walkers, plus she's a kid, so she wouldn't last out there. But was killing her really the best option? He honestly had no idea. He apologized to Tyrese before getting up and walking away to think, and that's when they'd hear Gabriel calling for help. Of course, Dale would be the first to charge in, and the group would follow shortly after. Gabriel would lead them to his church, and then they'd go to the food bank while Dale stayed behind to think and protect the group. Unfortunately, Bob still gets bitten here due to Gabriel messing up, and later that night would be taken by Gareth and his people to get his leg eaten. At the same time, Carol and Daryl would find the same car that took Beth, and so they'd chase it down. Bob would then get tossed back to the church, where they would prep for the return of Gareth. Dale would be telling Rick and the others not to go overboard, and they'd say okay. The time would come, and Rick would have everyone hide, leading to Gareth getting his fingers shot off, as well as a few of his dudes already being shot. Everyone that remains would be disarmed and forced to kneel, with Gareth telling him why they did it, and swearing that they'd never cross paths again. Rick would be just about to fulfill his promise by killing Gareth with the red-handled knife, however Dale would tell him to wait. He says that if they want to be let go, they need to make sure that they would never cannibalize anyone else, not just them. Gareth would promise, and Rick would say that they're not letting him go. However, Dale responds that they need to draw some sort of line here. Sure, what they did is unforgivable, but it's what they thought they had to do, just like they think they have to kill them. It's not the same, he knows, but killing people who are begging is not okay. Tara would be the first to back him up, then Glenn, Tyrese, Maggie, and just about everyone. The reason I think that they would do this is because you can tell in that scene that they weren't okay with what was going on here. Rick would ultimately accept this, knowing that it was a group decision, and this would make Sasha angry. Rick would tell her to calm down and that it's okay, but she'd yell that this wasn't okay before killing the person she did originally. She'd go after the next one, but Tyrese would stop her. Sasha would be trying to fight him off, but she really isn't as strong as him, and so she would ultimately be convinced to stop. Dale and Rick would go outside to let the others go, with Dale making sure Gareth remembers his promise. Rick would also follow with his own statement, saying that if they saw them again, they'd lose a lot more than fingers. He'd then leave them outside, a good distance away from the church, and after this, Abraham would want to leave, and Glenn, Maggie, and Tara would be decided on as tribute for them to wait for Carol and Daryl. Of course, they wouldn't show up in time, and so Abraham and his group would leave with Glenn, Maggie, and Tara. That same night, Daryl would show up with Noah, who would be the perfect lead on Beth's location. The group would then head out to go get her, and Dale would want to go since he wanted to help save Herschel's daughter. I mean, Herschel was one of the people that he respected the most before his death. However, one problem was that Sasha was going, and Rick thought it would be best if Dale didn't come, since she was furious at him for letting Gareth live. Plus, he wanted him there to protect Carl and Judith. Dale would take a look back at Gabriel, who was still shaken by everything that happened, and he would decide that it would be best for him to stay. After everyone else leaves, he tries to talk to Gabriel, but the man said that he just wants to go into his room, and so he would let him. He would then sneak out through the floorboards, and Dale would know this because he went to check on him. The old man would tell Michonne and Carl that he was going out to find him, and so they would stay on their guard. When Gabriel arrives at the school and finds Bob's leg, he still gets infuriated and starts throwing stuff around. Dale watches this and tells him that he won't get anywhere with that. The world is an awful place now and they have to accept it, but they don't have to become awful with it. He would say that he used to be similar to Gabriel, not wanting to fight, but he knew that it was the only way to survive. There's a way to keep your humanity and still live in this world, but praying to God won't solve everything. Gabriel would start to get upset, but would calm down and understand what the man was saying. Walkers would then start pulling up, and so they'd have to run back to the church. Once there, they'd find a few more walkers, and Dale would use his rifle to kill a few. The walkers would be getting way too close, and so he'd toss the rifle and use a melee weapon. He manages to hold back a walker as another one comes at him. That one is then shot by Carl, and Dale manages to hold the other walker off long enough to stab it with a screwdriver or whatever melee weapon he has. Now this is a far cry from the original Dale, who got overpowered by a single walker. Yeah, while he was off guard, he still wasn't even able to escape or push it off temporarily. He just got killed by it. However, this Dale is far stronger and more experienced due to him fighting up close all the time. Anyway, he grabs his rifle and they would get inside, with Abraham and the others showing up afterward. They then all come to find out that Beth was killed, and so that would be kinda sad. But you know what else is sad? This video's over. In this video, we covered the Terminus and Beth retrieval arc, so next time we'll finish Season 5 and maybe cover Season 6. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this part, and remember to like and subscribe to support this series going forward. But as always, tell me if you liked this part, tell me what you think will happen next, comment your requests for future videos, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.